Uganda is swimming in the river or pool of debts. My name is Samuel Kazibwe. Today, I have come up and have decided to talk about the worrying situation that we Ugandans actually are in due to these debts. My message goes to President Museveni and all the NRM key government officials. The truth of the matter is that I am talking about this national issue of debt, not because I am against the government, not because I am actually criticizing the government, but simply because I am a concerned citizen. When I come up to talk about the national debt, the truth of the matter is this is out of love, out of concern. As a senior citizen, really, I don't think whether to sit back and actually keep quiet when the nation is actually being driven into a mess, it's such a wise thing to do. Although today, when actually someone like me decides to come up and talk about a few things which are actually not going on in the government or in our nation, is actually this person is termed as a rebel. This is not me. I am not against you. I am not against the government. But the truth of the matter is, we are in a sorry situation. We are in a sorry situation. President Museveni, I repeat this. My message is out of love because I love my nation. Because I am a Ugandan. I was born here. I grew up from this nation. And I'll die and I'll be buried in this nation. That's why today I've decided to talk about or to contribute something. And I hope, and it's my prayer, that you may hear my voice. Today, we know very well, all Ugandans, that we are owed actually too much. We have been borrowing. The government has been actually coming up openly and telling us that they are borrowing money in the name of actually developing our nation. But the truth of the matter is that this money which is being borrowed ends up into the pockets of a few government officials. Borrowing money wouldn't be a problem, but the actual problem is that the money which actually is being borrowed does not put into its use. The first purpose as to why these guys actually borrow money, they do not actually do as they claim when they are actually going to borrow this money. And that's where the problem comes from. If maybe if this borrowed money being put into the purpose as to why actually they claim and they tell us to, in the name of borrowing this money, it would be okay. But the problem is that the money that actually is being borrowed ends up into the few government officials' pockets. That's where the problem comes from. The truth of the matter, we know, President Museveni and other government officials, that you always have been borrowing money. However, if this borrowed money, you have been utilizing it well, would be far. That's a fact. And another thing that I want to talk about is that when are we going to actually end borrowing? Do you really expect that we are going to develop on this, in fact, borrowed money? I wonder. If we do not actually wake up, you guys, we might end up actually even selling our nation. The way how actually we are owed the too much debt that we are having, we have become beggars to the whites. We cannot be self-reliant. We cannot have that economic dependence if we continue borrowing this money. I think if we can go back on the drawing board and we start our own foundation, that could be better. But if we continue borrowing year to year, century to century, in fact, it's as if this has become a habit. Borrowing has become borrowing. When will we end borrowing? Because always you have been promising us that we are now actually, there is a way, I mean, there is a time when President Museveni told us that you actually push Uganda to at least a middle status nation. But look, Tanzania, President Magufuli, in fact, drove his nation into a middle status nation within only 5 years. But look, how long have you been in a position of power, President Museveni? And where are we? However, always you are promising us that you are changing the nation, but the truth is that I have lost hope. There is no hope. We do not have hopes. That's the truth. I wonder, it seems as if the government officials and all NRM members, it's as if you guys graduated, you received a degree in borrowing money. It's as if you guys are even having a master's and PhD in borrowing money. Why? Simply because you borrow money in the name of developing the nation, but you end up actually misusing this borrowed money, and we cry, we who pay the taxes. We pay our taxes, but the taxes we pay actually is almost for nothing. It's for no use. Because you borrow and you utilize the borrowed money, then you use our taxes to pay, and again you borrow, and actually this money that you borrow, you misuse it. I wonder, where actually are we going? What will you tell your grand and grandsons and so on, the grandchildren? What will you tell them? I don't know what is happening, but the truth of the matter is that President Museveni, sit down, reflect on this issue that I'm talking about, think through it, and think why I have decided to come up and talk about this. In fact, I am adding to what so far I talked about earlier, that I speak this out of love, not out of envy, not because I am against the government, but because I love my nation, and I see that my nation in Uganda is actually messed up. There is no hope. There is no hope. We are burying ourselves. We are burying ourselves. You guys, we need to wake up. The national debt issue, the bets are in our necks. That's a fact. Because still the burden of paying this debt actually comes back to me. Comes back to any Ugandan who's there, who's watching this. The burden, the heavy burden of paying these debts, it's on you. So many of us actually, we walk and think we are free. You may not even be actually having debts as a person, as an individual. But I want to tell you that when the MRM or the government borrows money, you also have debts. Because at the end, it's me, it's you, it's another Ugandan who's watching me to pay these debts. President Museveni, you've been talking about patriotism, you know, Ugandans, be patriotic. But now if I see that this money that you guys are borrowing ends up into a few government officials' pockets, where's the patriotic? I mean, that patriotism that you have been talking about, where, in fact, where is it? Where do we find it? It's as if it's just a mere speech. You have been talking about it, but the government officials are not practicing this. At times I wonder, they present you the good ideas, why they want actually to borrow this money, and for the good use. Yes, that wouldn't be a problem. But they do not actually utilize this money effectively. They don't. So, please, we want the accountability. In fact, I want to talk about accountability, another issue. That's why these guys actually always misuse this money, because they don't give us the accountability. We want the open accountability. Every single coin that you guys borrow, please, we want an accountability of that money, because that is our money. The moment you borrow it, we are actually to pay this debt. You pay the debts from our taxes that we pay. You know we love paying the taxes, but whenever we pay the taxes, and yet these taxes actually are misused. It hurts us. It hurts us. So, the debts you guys have been, you've been actually getting money, you've been borrowing. What we want is the accountability. If maybe you guys have been actually giving us serious accountability about this money that you guys are borrowing, it would be okay. But there's no accountability. People just borrow money and they use the money the way that you want without an accountability of it. That's why you guys have become, in fact, you don't even mind. But it's my prayer that President Museveni think about this. Think about our nation. Why did you go into the bush? You went into the bush to solve the problems of the Ugandans. But if today the situation is changing and it is becoming more worse than even it was before you came, it's pity. It is a worrying situation. I don't know where actually we shall end, but I pray that you think about this with a good heart. Look at it as a patriotic person, as a leader, not as a ruler, not as a dictator. And all government officials, please note this. I know right now, the moment that you guys are watching me, the moment you guys are actually listening to my words, you may think that I'm against you. You may think that I've rose against you guys. But the truth is that if you are a Ugandan, true Ugandan, think about it. Do not just, desire to hunt me like hunting a lion. I know this might even go to some of people's minds that let's go and hunt this man. No, please. Even if you hunt me, even if I'm killed today, I may not even mind about it. I'm telling you. But as long as I have spoken the truth, this is my right, freedom of speech. And as long as I am talking about the very same right thing. Many people have been talking about this and they are silenced. But where is the nation actually being driven? Where are we heading? Where is our future? It's as if the future has been terminated. Let's reflect. No one actually is going to be buried with things. We work, but we shall go into the grave with nothing. We came with nothing and we shall go with nothing. If you can put that into your minds, you will actually change and you will stop eating the borrowed money. Let's fight these debts. The whites, in fact, they look at us as if we are beggars, and yet we are not beggars. We are not beggars. We have a rich nation in minerals, in resources. But it's as if Uganda is the poorest nation, and yet we are not. Do not make us to look beggars in other nations. Don't ever think that we are going to actually develop on this borrowed money. Never. I'm telling you. Never. We shall move like that. Other nations, they claim that they are borrowing, but the truth is that those developed nations, they just put the shadow of the debts. But they are debt-free. They are debts-free. These people started from a foundation. Let us start our own foundation. Let us go on the door, in fact, on the board, and see how can we develop our nation. The truth is that the tax that we pay can develop our nation. We can have better roads. We can have better schools. We can have better hospitals. We can have everything that we wish to have. The GDP of the nation can increase if we accept who we are, but not always looking as if we are beggars, we are beggars, we are beggars. We go on begging as if we graduated in begging. This is really a worrying situation. We know at times when I think about it, I feel even crying. That's a fact. I feel even crying. I don't know where are we heading. It's as if we are cast in begging. It's as if we are cast to be actually always borrowing. But can't we change this? I told you that some people hear this and will start hunting me as if hunting a lion. I don't mind, even if I'm hunted. But the truth of the matter is that I'm not against the government, but I talk this out of love. I love my nation. I love Uganda. I love my nation. This is my motherland. And I want to see a better Uganda. But we cannot be a better Uganda with this mess, with the debts we are having, and there's no hopes of recovering. Every financial year budget, we realize that, in fact, our budget is facilitated. In fact, we do not even have 50% or 60%. We do not facilitate our budget. But not because we cannot, but because people eat our money. It is facilitated with debts. Can you imagine? And we hope to progress. There is no progress. There is no progress if we continue this mess and this situation. I'm telling you.